more comfortable, asking Antonio if he has something in place. So, hey, by the way, that's what I have for my family, Antonio. And by the way, do you have anything in place for you and your family?
Yep.
Okay, great. Is that through work or individual?
Through work.
Okay, great. And so it's a group insurance policy?
Yes.
All right, awesome. I bet you that, what kind of coverage do you have? Do you know?
Oh, I think 250, 250,000.
Right. And so I bet those are really cheap, right? $3 to $5 a paycheck or something? Is that what kind of, about $5 a paycheck? And so they're great because they're through work and they're really cheap. But have you ever read all the clauses, the exclusion clauses that comes with the group policy, Antonio?
No.
Can you, So, so, there's a few things that they're covered and a few things that they're not covered. And so, like an example, in case you get hurt or in case you don't work, in case you get a disability, short term or whatever, you're not working, then if you would have, if something would happen during that period, then that group insurance policy doesn't cover. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
And so it only covers when you're actively working. And so if you're not actively working at your job, then you're not covered pretty much.
Right.
And so, and let me ask you this, Antonio. What happens to the policy if you end up, getting laid off, if you get fired, if you move careers, or even if you end up retiring in that job? What happened to your benefits?
I lose them, I think.
That's exactly. You can pull your 401k and all this stuff, but those benefits gets, with it stays with the company, right? Because in reality, who's in control of that policy? You or the company?
The company.
Because you have a certificate of insurance, but you don't have an actual policy like you do with the auto insurance, like with the home insurance, right? The policy is, the company is the policy holder on that one. And you are inside of the group. And so there's nothing wrong with that, and I admire you for having that. And, congratulations on having that, because most people don't even have that. But that's why, Antonio, experts recommend something individually where you are in control. Because what makes more sense, Antonio? You being in control of the benefits or somebody else controlling those benefits?
I didn't know the benefits.
Exactly. And so that's what experts recommend. Because anything happens later on when you retire and you need the most, you're going to be guaranteed coverage with us. And you don't want to gamble with your family's future, do you?
Nope.
Okay, great. And that's how I would overcome the group insurance policy. Now, not everybody's going to buy it from you because some of them think their group policy is like the best thing ever. That's okay, right? And, it's...
But then in that case, do you try to explain something more, or would you be pushy if you try to explain more?
You can only explain so much. If they're already, now, unless if I can save them money on your auto insurance, which we get there, then the life is going to be guaranteed, So,
it's like going for free.
Exactly. And so that's one of the things that now most families, we see now, they don't have any kind of life insurance in place, And so whenever we ask them, say, hey, by the way, do you have anything in place for you and your family?
I don't.
And Antonio says we don't. And so instead of making Antonio feel bad about it, what I want to do is bring myself to Antonio's level and say, Antonio, you must feel like I was back in, could be 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever you want to say, whatever when did you set up your life insurance? But you say, hey, Antonio, pretty much, I think you guys are in the same situation I was 6 years ago. I didn't have any kind of life insurance in place, not because I didn't love my family, it's just because nobody ever sat down with me and showed me an affordable plan that I can properly protect my family. Is that kind of how you feel?
Yeah.
Because if somebody would have came and showed you a plan that you could afford and you can properly protect your family, you would have that in place by now.
Yeah, probably.
Wasn't that right? And so now is the chance for me to close it, right? And so Marcus, now I say, Antonio, let me repeat that, because that's something that's where you change from a presentation to closing. Antonio, you must, I bet you anything, you're kind of like in the same position I was 6 years ago. Didn't have any life insurance, not because I didn't love my family, just because nobody ever showed me a plan, affordable plan that I can properly protect my family. Is that kind of how you guys feel?
Yeah.
Because if somebody would have set that plan for you guys would have that plan in place by now. Isn't it right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do, Antonio, let me give you some options. I'm just going to ask a few questions just so I can determine how much protection do you guys need, and I can give you some option, all right?
Okay.
Boom. And I assume that he's going to want to see those options, right? Because you got to be assumptive all the way. Antonio, if you want to go full-time by December, January 2013, you got to be assumptive all the way. Every presentation that they're going to go ahead. And they're gonna buy it from you, right? And so assume until they say stop it. I'm not ready yet, but until they say that, I keep on going, right? And so I always go close the life first, because if they say things are tight or whatever, I can use the auto home to back me up, right? If I feel like they're a little bit iffy on the life, but if I feel like they want the life, yeah, we can save on the auto home and the life, and they're excited about it, the whole package, then, you can do both at the same time. But anyway, so let's say we set up, the questions I would ask Antonio is this, and we can wrap this up. So, how determine somebody's protection, right? Very simple. So, Antonio, by the way, in case something would happen to either one of you, do you want the mortgage to be paid for?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how much is that, Antonio?
About 100,000.
100,000, okay. And so now, Antonio, in case something would happen, Diana, how much would you need to stay with the kids so you can have, if the mortgage is paid for, but you can have enough money coming in to pay college educations, food expenses, utilities, clothing, gas? I mean, your monthly bills. What would you say?
About 3,000.
2,500, 3,000, okay. And so what I would do is say, Antonio, well, how old is your youngest? 2? I would say, and so now I would recommend that $2,500 coming in for at least a period of 18 years, because that'll take your youngest one to be at 20 years old, and so that person, your kid, will be working, and he'll be more financially independent. And so, so if we take 18 years times 12, that's 260 months. Times 2,500 each month, that's 540,000. So now that's a minimum. So when we're looking here, plus the 10,000 funeral cost, we're looking at $650,000 that I'm going to start with, right? Now Antonio doesn't know that because I haven't showed it to him yet, right? But I say, hey Antonio, so based on your needs, you need about 650 in case something would happen to protect your family in the proper way. So I'm going to give you some. Let me give you some options just so you can see. And let me tell you something. Who sets the expectation? The agent do, right? I'm just going to give you some options just so you can see how easy and affordable it is to protect your family. Okay?
Okay.
What's the expectation? Easy and so what is he expecting? Easy and affordable, right? And so let's say I get my quotes together, right? 650, and the 2 kids, 10,000 each, right? And then I'll probably want to set up more like a 350 and 350. You guys can see it. And 20, and I'll probably set up, let's say a 250. And 250, or if I feel like they're really tight on their budget, I'll go more like the minimum one. I'll be more like 150, because it'll be like a cheaper one. And so let's say here's about $100. Here's about 75, and this one is about, let's say, $48. Okay, and so that's and whenever I'm presenting to him, if I can do it on the iPad, on a piece of paper, and I say, Antonio, based on what you told me, you need $650 on each one of you, $10,000 for each one of the kids. There will be a total investment of about $100. Now, if that's a little bit out of your budget, Antonio, the next one down that I recommend you is 350 to 350, which is 75. That covers your whole families too. And then the minimum one I'd recommend would be the 250 for 48. Now, Antonio can start giving me all kinds of objection, right? But this is what before he gives me the objection, I'm going to ask, so Antonio, which one of those 3 do you feel comfortable putting aside? I didn't say buy, purchase, or get it, right? Which one of those 3 would you feel comfortable putting aside to start properly protecting your family? And once you ask a question, you be quiet. You don't say any other words. Sometimes it might take 5-10 seconds. Sometimes it'll be right away. Sometimes it's going to be quiet for a little bit. You're going to look at their, right? You just be quiet. Let them decide. Because if you start talking, that means that's a sign of you being nervous.
Right.
So, which one of those three? Yeah, go ahead.
So, what are you rating them? Like as preferred, standard?
This is an example.
What if you don't know their
Well, before I do their stuff, whenever I'm doing the quote, thanks for bringing that up, I ask to say, hey, Antonio, by the way, do you guys have any past significant medical history? Like any high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, heart disease, anything like that? No? Do you guys use tobacco of any form?
No.
Okay, great. Boom. You can qualify based on their height and weight, either preferred or non-tobacco. So, that's the question you ask before you start doing this. That's a great question, Jensen. Any other questions?
Well, yeah. So if they say, yeah, I've had like a heart attack 2 years ago, or I have diabetes, diabetes. Right?
Okay. Usually the most common stuff that you guys are going to see in the field is what?